Welcome back to Wake Up with Carlyn. So glad you're here. Today we're going to lift the veil a little bit. We're going to talk about altered states of consciousness, hypnosis, declassified CIA documents. Maybe you've heard of the Gateway program. And we're going to tie it all back to you, your mind, your consciousness, and your power. So let's get into it, shall we? A little background on where I come from. I think it was back in 2017. I was always miserable in life. I was at a job I didn't like. My emotions were out of control. I was feeling completely unfulfilled in every aspect. And it was a roller coaster. I'd be happy, I'd be sad. It was all over the place. And one day I was driving home from work and I just decided I am done being a victim to my emotions. I am in control of my being. Nothing has power over me. So I'm done with this. I went home that day. I'd heard of meditation, but I had no real spiritual concept. Went on YouTube, looked for an instrumental track just to put in some earbuds. And I was like, I just need to lie down, have some sound in my head and see what's going on and just chill out and talk to myself. That's where I came across binaural beats, just on YouTube. Binaural beats are like these vibratory sounds and vibration waves in music. You've probably heard of it. I think it's pretty soothing, depending on which ones you look at. So I laid on my bed, got some headphones in, put on some binaural beats, put a blindfold over my eyes, and laid there and just started breathing. And then for some reason, the sentence, I'm not my thoughts, I'm the observer of my thoughts. I'm not my thoughts, I'm the observer of my thoughts came in. Now, again, I didn't have a spiritual concept. I haven't looked into other religions or Eastern religions. I grew up in a Christian household, so that was the only framework that I had. But I was interested in aliens most of my life. I loved ancient aliens. I love ancient history, ancient civilizations, the mystery of it all. So I knew about that sort of thing. But spirituality, totally different. So this phrase that came in, I don't know where it came from. I probably heard it somewhere, But then I actually, for the first time, was able to detach from the thoughts that I was having and the emotion that I was having. And I was able to kind of sit back and view them as an observer. Whoa, that's what I'm saying to myself? That's what I'm feeling? And I saw this chaos. And as in being the observer, I felt this stillness come over me. And truly, from that day on, my entire life changed. Meditation, I would say, kind of saved my life. It certainly gave me my life back, but I was so miserable. And meditation opened me up to a whole new world. That started me on a journey of just self-discovery, exploring different modalities of consciousness and tapping into different states of consciousness. And then I came across a CIA document that explored consciousness. It was released in, I think, 2003, but it's interesting. And what I saw felt far too similar to what I had been experiencing in meditation. So let's get into it, shall we? It all started in the 1950s. There was a radio broadcast executive named Robert Monroe. By the way, this is the story according to him, okay? So he owned Monroe Institutes, which was a radio broadcast company. He was exploring different ways to learn while you sleep. And then according to him, he started having spontaneous out-of-body experiences where his consciousness would leave his body and he would be able to travel to other places. He had no idea how it was happening, but he wanted to study it and figure it out. So in 1970, he started the Monroe Institute, which is still around today, by the way. You can even go there and you can do a program if you want to. And this research center is dedicated to studying altered states of consciousness. He developed a system, a program of how to get into these higher levels of consciousness or altered states of consciousness. It involved things like binaural beats, relaxation techniques where you just lie on the bed and you have the binaural beats in your ears and you just slowly move through your body and say, okay, my forehead relaxes, my eyebrows relaxing, my shoulders relax. You do the whole progressive relaxation technique. And then there were other types of visualizations and meditations, whether it's guided or self-guided. And they focused on slowly guiding people into deeper and deeper states of consciousness. Now, on the CIA website and Freedom of Information Act, you can find these documents yourself. This one that I'm going to refer to right now is the one that was actually written by the Monroe Institute. It was kind of them giving an overview of their program and how they do their studies. In this article that they wrote, they talk about how they used 20 participants, and they would have them stay at this research facility, and multiple times throughout the day, all the participants would come into a room with a bunch of mattresses all around the room. They would lie down, put a blanket over their heads, have headphones on, and then start listening to these frequencies, the binaural beats. And over time, the more that they practiced, the further they would go into consciousness. Each session was about 45 minutes long. In the paper, if you read it, you'll see that they said about the first 5 minutes, everyone's kind of moving around, sniffing, coughing, whatever. And then the next 40 minutes, everyone was dead silent and they were traveling. Now, before I get into the results of what the Monroe Institute found, I'm going to read you a quote from the actual CIA document because the CIA went on to study this as well. And in their report, this is the warning that they gave in the introduction. The physics of altered human consciousness deals with some conceptualizations that are not easily grasped or visualized exclusively in the context of the ordinary left brain linear thinking. So, parts of this topic will require not only logic, but a touch of right brain intuitive insight to achieve a comfortable grasp of the concept involved. Now, there are some really interesting things that the Monroe Institute and then the CIA found through doing these experiments and these studies. They found that getting to know yourself, know thyself, as so many spiritual traditions teach, is the key to achieving altered states of consciousness. And when we're talking about altered state of consciousness, what do we mean? We mean the ability to close your eyes and to literally have your consciousness leave your body and go to other places, to interact with different energies, to go to different dimensions, go to different places on the planet, be able to tap into the emotions of other people who you know but aren't in your exact vicinity. These are all things that were done, that were achieved regularly and consistently by using the gateway process technique. What does this mean about consciousness? I mean, does the mind develop consciousness, or does consciousness work through the mind? We talked last time about us being a projector screen and how life is moving through us. But what if we can impact what's moving through us? What if we have some degree of control? So if we're able to calm our rational mind, like this document said, tap into the intuitiveness of the right brain, drop the logic, step into intuition, what states of consciousness might we be able to tap into? Where could we go? And let me tell you, when I started meditating with binaural beats, not knowing what I was doing, but just having this like inner guidance that was guiding me towards this, I did start going places. And I know that sounds insane and hard to believe and like, oh, she's just making it up, whatever. Maybe I am. Maybe my imagination is so fantastic, which I know that it is. But perhaps it's because I'm tapped into something greater. And I'm not unique. Anyone can do this. If these documents and these studies show anything, it's that anyone can do this, but there is one condition. You have to be willing to face every aspect of yourself. Every aspect. Because when you come up against an emotion that you're scared of, or maybe something from your past that you don't want to look at, you can't go deeper. There's going to be some blocks in your emotion and in your consciousness. So in order to reach these states, you really have to be honest with yourself on, can I face my life and myself as it's been thus far? And if you can, then get ready for a wild ride because it's so exciting. A great quote on this, direct from the CIA document, is this: encourage pursuit of full self-knowledge by all participants to enhance objective out-of-body experience, observation, and thinking, and to remove personal energy blockages likely to retard rapid progress. One thing that they talk about in both the CIA document and the article by the Monroe Institute is that when people have fear come up, that's what blocks them from going deeper, like I just said. And part of the fear, this is a direct quote, is fear about the potential loss of the self as they know it. When an individual stimulates himself more than his level of adjustment allows, he blanks out the experience. So he just taps out. He can't handle what he's about to see or experience. They said when someone had repressed memories or repressed material of any type from their life that they weren't willing to face, there always came a point where they couldn't go any further. So if you want to experience these altered states of consciousness, then you got to get ready to face yourself and anything that's happened to you. Because the potential of what you could encounter is so worth it. And this fear of facing whatever's in you is seen in all different types of modalities. Normal therapy, hypnotherapy, which I have practiced, and so I've seen that in my own clients. Working with psychedelics, if we may. Some people don't have experiences, no matter how much they take, because their conscious mind, their egoic mind, whatever it is protecting them from seeing that thing because there's something in them that's not ready to see it. So how can you overcome this? Let's look at what the general process of this is. There's a few different stages in the gateway process. First, it's literally just about relaxation. You have to relax your body completely. So that's the sound comes in, the progressed relaxation comes in, and then it's focusing on going to this absolute state that is beyond time and space. So the overall goal of the Monroe Institute was to connect with what they call the absolute, to completely separate from this physical reality and connect in with the universal consciousness. And they found that their participants were doing that. Commonly, I think they said like the majority of people who did this eventually started to connect to a universal intelligence. There's a warning, not a warning, but a little like heads up in the CIA document on this. This is a direct quote. It says, "Be intellectually prepared to react to possible encounters with intelligent, non-corporal energy forms when time-space boundaries are exceeded." And it's in level 2 and level 3 of these deeper states of relaxation that people begin to encounter these energy beings, this intelligent presence. And everyone reported that it was compassionate, instructional, loving, intelligent, and that it was able to give them a higher perspective of their life. After people had these experiences, this is what was found. All of the participants developed an incredible sense of self-worth. They experienced growth, creativity, playfulness. Their whole life improved because they were tapping in to this higher state of consciousness. But to get to this state, it requires determination, time, patience, and occasionally courage. So it's not like necessarily you're going to start meditating, you're going to go through the gateway process, and you're immediately going to be tapped into all of this. No, it takes time. Now, why would the CIA be interested in this? Maybe you've heard of something called Project Stargate or remote viewing, psychic spy programs, and they utilize the techniques of Monroe Institute. They even sent some of their psychic spies to the Monroe Institute to get the training that they needed. So you may say, how are they using these out-of-body experiences or these higher states of consciousness to do psychic spying? Well, if you can leave your body and go to a specific place on the planet and see what's there, that's pretty useful. If you can know what weapons someone has, how many people are there, but you also got to keep in mind that if we can do it, maybe our adversaries can do it as well. Don't worry. The CIA came up with a way to fight back against other psychic spies. This is all in the CIA document, by the way. It's fascinating. Here's one of the techniques that the CIA developed through this process to kind of shield CIA military areas that were sensitive and they didn't want their adversaries to see. Arrange the operatives to unite their altered consciousness to build holographic patterns around sensitive areas to repulse possible unwanted out-of-body presences. I've heard some accounts, watched some interviews of these so-called psychic spies who experience this. So they would be trying to remote view a place. They would go and the whole area would be like fuzzed out or blacked out. And some of them report that they could see the energy bodies of the other psychic spies, of the other side's psychic spies, like blocking them from seeing what was going on. Can we believe this or not? I don't know, but it's pretty cool and it's fun to think about. But regardless of that, what this study, this program shows is that there is, in fact, so much more to this reality than this physicality. There's a lot more going on in our consciousness. And if we are genuinely willing to look at ourselves, to get to know ourselves, to dive in, to face our emotions, our past, trauma, whatever, the things that we can connect to are infinite. And it will make our life so much more enjoyable, more creative, more playful. And one more quote from the CIA document, just to kind of wrap this up and show you the importance of tapping into this greater consciousness. Man cannot effectively evaluate or cope with the world until he fully understands his personal psychological balance. No personality test or series of tests will ever replace the depth and fullness of the perception of self, which can be achieved when the mind alters its state of consciousness sufficiently to perceive the very hologram itself. The hologram being this reality, tapping into this consciousness. I love this. Man cannot effectively evaluate or cope with the world until he fully understands this. And I know that that's true for me. After I started meditating, having these out-of-body experiences, everything changed. I started viewing politics completely differently. The media, everything was different because I could see it from a whole new perspective and on a deeper level. And what we can also learn from this is that there's some element of divine timing involved. You have to be ready to see things, and not everyone's going to be ready. So we can take this over to the political discussion or maybe to religion, whatever. There's no point in getting angry or frustrated with people that they can't see your perspective, or that they don't see what you see because maybe they're not ready. Maybe there's something inside of them. Maybe there's some emotion or something that happened that's preventing them from going there. And what can you do to help them? Well, according to this, relaxation, calm is the key to all of it. So fighting with people, getting mad at them, judging them for not understanding, for not being able to see, screaming at people that they're an idiot, it's not going to work. That certainly doesn't create relaxation or calmness in the body. So the more that you can relax, the more that you can understand, it's not your job, first of all, to wake people up, to get them to see your perspective. The best thing that you can do is be calm yourself and radiate that calmness, that acceptance, that love, that compassion, because that's what will influence the people around you, not you telling them what to think or what to believe. So it's important for us to acknowledge that there's a time for everyone, and maybe it's not in this lifetime, if there are multiple lifetimes, which I think that there probably are. Your mind is the gateway, whether it's through meditation, deep rest, hypnosis, or curiosity. There are infinite layers of truth waiting to be revealed. But you have to be willing to look at it. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope this was enjoyable, a bit mind expanding. I hope this carries you throughout the rest of your day, makes it feel a little bit lighter. Maybe reality seems a little more curious. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll see you next time.